Gamiso, everybody! Welcome to the show. This is the blank space, and we are just filling it in. And if you figure out which language that is, well, just learn what that is. So, Drew, how you doing this week?
I'm doing all right. I actually speak another language, if you believe it or not.
Ooh, what
Yeah.
language is that?
Well, let's see if you can pick it up. I'll say hello.
Okay.
Buongiorno.
This is a tough one.
Nazi
Um,
scalps.
do you speak baguette?
Oh, that's that's too rough for me. I can't get that. I can't get that. Oh God. Mate, is that Romanian?
I don't know what's going on right now.
Buongiorno, everyone.
Buongiorno. Welcome to the show that I think is sort of okay.
it's it. I mean, that should be our tagline. It's
We are sort
okay.
of okay.
We are sort of okay. I feel like
Yay.
that would be a back of the box quote. Like on the back, it would say the blank space, hosted by two guys. Quote: It's sort of okay. One of the hosts.
Um, it is the two guys talking format.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I,
and
it's a genre.
it's a genre. Yep. Thank you, Hello Internet, for developing the genre.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I doubt they were first ones, but hey, they coined a term.
I was gonna say they
That
weren't like the Lewis and Clark of like two guys talking on a. I don't even know if Lewis and Clark is an apt analogy, but if there was certainly two guys pioneering the two dudes talking podcast, I don't feel like they're the founders.
I mean, yeah, I'd agree with that, but hey, I mean, they put out the term, and I didn't hear anybody else say it, so you know what? They get credit.
It's perfect. I like this. I like this as an idea. In the history books, we will write that down.
I mean, history books are written by the victors, and I'm pretending I won.
I mean, the way you play strategy games, I'm not surprised.
Sometimes it's not about actually winning, it's about knowing it's about nobody else willing to put up a fight. And if nobody knows they're fighting, it's easy to win.
I think that's called a surprise attack, Anthony. I think it's called a surprise attack.
Maybe. I don't know. That sounds like a lot more effort than I actually put in, though. So I'm not sure how I feel about that.
So wait. Which part is the most effort? The surprise part or the attack part?
I kind of just claimed victory, and nobody else told me no.
I'm just imagining you playing like Civ or playing like Europa Universalis and just putting a flag somewhere that says I've won, and then everyone around you being very confused, but no one really wanting to fight, just being like, what is he doing? He put up a flag.
I kind of like to think it's like Liechtenstein, right? Just on the battlefield, just like, hey, I won this plot, right? And everybody else is like actually fighting each other, and they're like, they didn't even see him put down the flag. I like to think of myself like that.
Hmm. I I feel like that's close. That's close to how it should go.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm just imagining if that actually okay. History is so full of stuff that I imagine that's actually happened at a point. Just somebody was like, "Yeah, we won." And people are like, "Wait, what do you mean? We haven't given up yet?" They're like, "No, we won." And they're like, "Oh, okay. I guess you
Well, no, no,
won."
no, no. See, that would be more like two guys fighting on a battlefield, and like just random third guy just shows up and plants a flag and is like, "Hey, I did it."
The other two are like, "But we're still fighting." And he's like, "No, no, 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 no."
No, hold up, hold up. They didn't even notice. Just
Oh,
some dude put a flag down, and nobody even noticed. He's behind the hill, even like they're not even within. He's not. He can't even see the battle. He's just behind a hill. You know.
see, I've always asked myself, what does the flag holder do in like older war times? We don't really do that today. There's no one
Mm-hmm.
dedicated flag guy job, but
I mean,
if the,
you're right.
but if there was,
Oh,
but back then I always wondered what their job was. I guess that was their job, just to plant the flag down at inopportune times.
well, actually, I'm gonna fight you on both points here. For one, it's called color guard, right? But that's more of like official things. And secondly, right? They pretty much, to my knowledge, helped relay commands.
Oh, they were the messengers, more or less.
Yeah, it's more like, hey, this is the column. You follow me. Don't go in front of the flag. At least that's how I understand it. I could be wrong and just spouting out bullshit at the moment.
I'm gonna have to ask you about a bunch of stuff at some point because as a kid, I went to a lot of reenactments and a lot of like
Okay.
Civil War, Revolutionary War stuff. And there's so many questions I have about their tactics, their how they handled themselves. But that is a conversation for another time. That is going to be a long conversation of me just being like, what? So why did they do this? You just be like, you dummy, just they did it for this. I'll be like, oh, okay.
I probably could give you a bunch of information about that, actually. I mean, like, did you just have something off the top of your head that you've been dying for?
So it's a two-parter. One, did the little drummer boys get guns? And two, if they didn't get guns, why didn't they?
Okay, so the little drummer boys were actually boys, right?
Well, yes.
But yeah, a bunch of my education here, just prefacing this here, not exactly official. I don't really have a degree. I kind of get most of my facts from like either Reddit or watching too much History Channel as a child, you know. I also read in a few books and stuff, but you know, I don't have any official certification here. But the drummer boys, right? They were actually boys, so yeah, they couldn't be really given guns, and they had the drums so that everybody would stay marching at the same pace.
Okay.
So it's like a metronome for your feet.
So why weren't they given weapons?
Because they were too small to hold a gun. How does that make you feel?
But I mean, they were in a war zone. Like they are in a dangerous area.
Yeah, but for one, there's not a lot of drummer boys. Okay, and
all the more reason to give them a gun. I mean,
and two, I mean, their job was needed, and they didn't need to have a gun. Enough people around them had guns.
Okay.
And if they were shot, then you know, hey, I mean, nobody's really going to pick up that drum. That was their job.
So the idea was that you are going to sit here and drum to keep the army moving.
Yep.
And your job is incredibly vital to how we do this. But if you get shot, we don't technically need you.
Yeah, I mean, nobody else is going to pick it up.
Also, we're not going to give you a gun because you're a child. But if you get shot, we'll keep going.
I feel like I should preface this. They weren't actual children, but like, you know,
like
14, 15 kind of deal.
Like teenagers.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean not like literal like 6-year-old children, but
yeah, that was reserved for sea ships and being powder monkeys.
I imagine that's the official title.
Yeah. Yeah, they would go down and, you know, below decks and like get the bits of like, you know, gunpowder and stuff and into the small areas and bring them back up for the crew to fire. That was a thing.
I imagine it was very important
like,
on the battlefield.
Bombs. Huh?
You're just dropping knowledge bombs all over the place.
Ha. Boom, boom, man. Boom, boom.
That was possibly the corniest we've gotten on this entire show. Congratulations.
Ooh, I feel like a field in Kansas.
We're shutting this down. No, we're starting over. It's not how it's happening.
This is how the show went, Drew. Accept it. All right, so what was the first thing we wanted to talk about today?
I can will this out of existence.
Too bad, I'm the editor.
All right. Yes, so we do have topics.
Yeah. That wasn't actually the topic. We just historied for some reason.
At some point, we will have to talk about history and questions I have about it. I'm sure you'll be able to answer it.
I'll try, but I'm not going to make promises.
All right. I mean, if I ask you and you don't know, we have the all-powerful, all-seeing Google in front of us.
Or quality bullshitting.
Yes.
I like quality bullshitting because it can feel like facts, but it doesn't need to be facts.
That would actually be quite fun. Just, I ask you a question, And if you don't know it, you BS me and see if I can catch it or not.
Ooh, I kind of like this idea. I kind of just want to do like a spin-off show, right? Where it's just us for like 15 minutes, and I'm just gonna throw facts your way, and you have to tell me if I'm lying or not.
I, mm, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting. Tell you what, we'll
We will
save it.
explore this.
We will explore this. But
All right.
Curtis,
So
back on topic.
All right, that we haven't announced yet.
Yeah.
So, why do we do this show? I guess is a pretty good question for anybody listening and still wondering why the hell we're on our 6th episode.
Oh, I mean, we're doing it sequentially. We're not doing the 7th episode before the 6th.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, no, that's fair. I got nothing.
All right, good. That was a good show then.
Good topic.
No, so explain what do you mean exactly? Like,
Well, like some people they do a show, they expect to get famous, and that's not what I think is going to happen at all.
you never know. We could have like a year from now, we have like 100,000 plus listeners, and just they're like listening to this episode and being like, "What do they mean they're not going to be famous?"
I'm not gonna lie, I got excited when you said 100 listeners.
Well, I mean, 100's nice, but I was trying to over exaggerate. 100 is not an over exaggeration.
I don't know. I know what I am and what I do, and I'm not expecting much.
So, what did you want to do this show for? How did you exactly get the idea for this, and why are you doing it?
Okay, so I feel like we're doing this just for the sake of creating something, right? Just for the fact that, you know what? We've put something out there, and you know what it has? It has our stamp of approval on it. We did it. It's kind of like why... I don't want to say that. I was going to
Good.
say something, and then I realized I probably shouldn't.
Good choice. Good choice, I guess.
Yeah. Sometimes the filter just kicks in halfway through the sentence, and that was one of those moments.
I would have loved if it was literally halfway through a word. You were like, and then we
But no.
No.
It's done for the reason of just creating something, just putting something out there, and hey, maybe somebody will like it. Maybe people won't like it. Maybe they'll say we're dog shit. But you know what? Somebody cared enough to say we were dog shit. Bar set real low.
We did it. We get a gold star for doing it. I feel like I'm in a similar boat. I mean, we basically started this because whenever we are together, we go on at length about any and all topics.
Like, literally, we will be sitting inside a diner for way too long, and the waitresses hate us.
Oh, no, you give us too much credit. We'll be standing outside of the diner trying to leave, but we keep talking till 2 in the morning. That is just how we go. Naturally.
It's usually how things go. We'll end up like hanging out together, right? Like at some friend's house or whatever. Like, hey guys, we got to get going. We got work in the morning, right? And like, they're like, cool. We head outside. We end up talking about something. Suddenly, like, they're leaving to go home, and they see us out there just talking. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of where I come from this especially, is just that when you approach me about it and we're like, yeah, let's do a podcast. I'm like, I mean, basically we've been doing that just without recording it.
Yeah. That's the gist of it.
We just go on at length about topics in general. So on top of that, it is partially what you said, where it's just it feels good to be making something. It feels good to be putting something out there.
Just kind of having that regular thing that, you can just kind of say, hey, you know what? It's out there in the world, and I did it.
Yeah, because there's plenty of times you come up against something and you're like, man, we should really do that, and then nothing ever happens of it. But, actually doing it feels good.
It does. It does feel good. Yay, warm fuzzy feelings.
Woo.
We can bring them out.
Just
Maybe.
every once in a while, we feel a little heartfelt, just a little bit.
So this is actually, I had another question. I actually had something I want to ask you. To be
Okay.
honest. All right. So I have a dilemma, right? Okay. I'm trying to think. Is it a good idea to give your massage person, right? Like pay them in ones? Like is that disrespectful?
Uh, mm,
Like I'm not sure if it is or not cuz like I just I'm a waiter and I just have like all these ones on my desk, right? And I kind of just don't want to deposit them, right? Just because like that's really annoying to deposit like a bunch of ones.
well, all right,
But
all right. Here, let
I
me.
kind of want to spend them, but I'm also not into strip clubs. So,
I like that. I like that your choice of spending your ones is strip club. I don't know where else. There's a plan A, and then there's no plan below that.
but like, would it be disrespectful just to pay like your massage person in ones?
Well,
Like, will they no longer look at you the same?
so
Is my question.
I have a two-part thing for this.
Okay.
Nothing to do with nothing to do with massages,
Okay.
but to do with tipping a person in general.
Okay.
So, how much is it customary to tip a massage? What's their official term? Masseuse, like this.
Sure. Let's go with masseuse.
I'm gonna go with massage persons.
Mm-hmm.
Massage persons.
Okay.
But what is there a set amount? Because I mean, when you go out to a restaurant, there is like a general idea of how much you tip a person.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know a set amount for what you give someone who gives you a massage. I expect honestly that they're getting paid decently enough that tipping is
You know
not
that's
required.
that's what I thought as well, right? Until like I was talking with somebody. He's like, "Oh, how much do you give them the tip?" And I just gave them a blank stare, like, "You tip? What?" That confused me completely. Because I would think that massage is like one of those things where like the price is all inclusive there. Like I personally don't tip massage therapists.
Yeah, and
I'm not sure what that makes me though. I'm not sure if that makes me a horrible person though. Because
well,
I know like waiters, of course, I'm a waiter. I know I got to get tipped. But massage therapists, I think, they make good enough money on their own. You know?
well, I don't want to turn down saying like, oh yeah, definitely they earn too much money. Like, don't tip them. But I feel like it's not as necessary as something like a waiter who is not earning a good wage just off of being a
Mm-hmm.
waiter. But at the same time, they are doing a service, and doing a good service usually involves. I enjoyed what you did, so here's a tip.
But I also would consider a massage therapist as some sort of professional, like an actual professional. Not like those fake professionals.
But I don't follow exactly. Like, are you talking about con
I'm saying
artists?
like there's somebody that has trained and gone to school for something, right? You wouldn't think that their job would require a tip. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like you would think that their prices would be included, and that giving a tip would be, kind of like saying, I don't know what it says, but it just feels wrong. Like a waiter is a non-professional professional. You know,
Yes.
like they do a job that's very personal, but it's also something you really don't have to go to school for at all. It's just something you pick up
Right.
with just experience, right? Whereas somebody that goes to school for something, I would feel like all their prices should be included, which also confuses me about getting haircuts as well.
Well,
I'm not really sure why we have to tip for haircuts. That doesn't make sense.
from what I understand, hairdressers are not in the same boat as waiters and waitresses getting paid relatively not well. But I mean, they are certainly not paid big bucks, depending on where you go. I mean, obviously, if you go to the hip hair salon, they're probably paid okay. But for the most part, I know most hairdressers are like, yeah, I got this and a second job, and I'm like, oh, okay. And that gets onto like what I think is tipping in general. I I think for the most part, tips are not necessary, but it's simply like it depends on the level of service.
Okay.
So, waiters and waitresses, I give them a tip because we live in a terrible society where basically being a waiter means you are allowed to be paid less than minimum wage. But
Okay.
that's beside the point. Whenever somebody goes kind of above and beyond what they have to do, I think a tip is in order. And I think back to our original point of massages, if the person did a really really good job,
Mm-hmm.
I would consider heavily tipping them. I There's a lot of times where like tips are kind of expected,
Okay.
and there are some circumstances that do, some circumstances that don't. But for the most part, like when I give tips, they are because someone did a really good job or somebody impressed me in some way.
Okay, I can see what you're saying there. Now, would you ever tip somebody like your mechanic?
No, only because I'm paying an arm and a leg anyway. There,
Okay.
that's the other factor is how much it costs to do. But
Okay.
here's actually an interesting story. You can tell me what your thoughts are of this.
Mm-hmm.
So, a couple of years ago, me and a now ex were staying at a hotel down in Silver Springs, like outside of Washington D.C., because we were going to do it. We were going to go do a thing down there. So we stayed in the
Uh-huh.
hotel, had a good time, good hotel. And as we were leaving, I stayed in the parking garage there because I mean it's a relatively small town. There really isn't a lot of parking outside of the hotel. So I left my
Mm-hmm.
car there, and it was actually included in my bill. Like it was included in the
Okay.
hotel room. So I was like, yeah, sure, why not? So we're all packed up. We're getting ready to leave. We take our bags downstairs. We check out. We basically pack up the car. Well, I asked the guy to grab the car. He grabs the car, brings it down. Um, we load up our car pretty much. They help a little bit, but mainly just grabbing bags for us. And I'm like, oh, I should probably tip them. So I pull a five out of my wallet and give it to them. And he holds out his hand and says, no, 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 that is not enough.
Oh.
And I say, oh, what do you mean? He just keeps repeating that is not enough.
Oh.
English was not his first language, but
I
I'm
mean, at
sitting
that
there.
point, he would not be getting a tip from me.
Well, that's what confused me because the hotel was not a fancy hotel by any means. It was a nice hotel, but it wasn't like I was staying in some resort or anything like that.
Uh-huh.
And the guy, all he did was drive my car back down the ramp. It's not like he stood by my car with a crowbar stopping people from robbing it. He just drove my car down and helped us with bags. And I thought $5 was a decent tip for that. But apparently $5 was not enough. So I more or less got bullied out of $10 to this guy.
Ah.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, at that point, I wouldn't be giving the guy a tip if he refused or said that was not enough.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I hate tipping valets myself, but also I try and avoid having a valet do anything for me just because I don't want to, have to tip
Yeah, and I mean
that.
for the most part, the parts he did were parts he has to do, like go grab the
Hmm.
car, bring it back. And that's fine. I'm not against that, and I will tip the guy because God knows he's standing in a parking garage all day, more
I
or less.
mean,
But
just I feel like I should preface this. I actually did work as a valet for a very short amount of time,
oh,
and I didn't feel like my job needed to be tipped.
oh really? All right.
Yeah, like it seems very ridiculous the fact that for what I was doing, I was a valet at a dealership, granted, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't feel like there was any reason why I should have been tipped for what I was doing, right? But it was a job that people expected to get tipped at. It just didn't make sense to me. Valets don't make sense to me in a lot of ways. Just how they are.
They're a nicety, and I can see for a parking garage specifically why they're a necessity because a lot of the time that is jamming like six cars into basically a
Mhm.
parking space for three.
Yeah.
So their job is somewhat necessary, but
I mean, like, I see the point of a valet, like going up to a fancy restaurant and like there's no parking anywhere, and they just take your car and you pray you get it back, right? Like that.
Yeah.
That I can see the point of a valet for. And tipping a valet at that point makes a lot of sense to me, right?
Hmm.
Because that's you're paying for the convenience for them to go run your stuff for you,
Right.
kind of deal, right? And then bring it back when you're ready to get out of there. See that for that makes sense for me to tip a valet, not just like just having it brought out from the garage,
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like,
especially when it was something that's supposed to be included.
yeah,
So that's a strange thing.
and believe me, this whole thing has rubbed me the wrong way for a really long time. I would have been very surprised if you had agreed with him, but
Hmm.
but at the same time, it was like it rubbed me such the wrong way that I was like, man, this is just it's just weird. I don't like this. Next, if I come back here, I hope it's a completely different experience. But but that's beside the point. So you asked me initially, what do you think is an appropriate tip for someone to give you a massage?
Oh no, I didn't ask that at all.
Oh, okay. I thought that's what you asked.
No, what I asked was, is it okay to give them all ones? I'm
Oh.
not paying tip, but like actually just paying them in ones. Like if you, that's what I mean, right? Like the see if I feel like it kind of disrupts the personal relationship is what I'm trying to get at out there, right? Just like if I came up to you, right? And like if you came to my house and you were fixing something in my house, right? And it was like, I don't know, $50 or something to do it, right? And I just handed you all ones. How would you feel about that kind of thing?
I'd be a little ticked, but hey, all ones is not the worst thing to give people.
Okay.
That's what I guess I was thinking about was like a tip for me, especially like going to a place to get a massage. Like if somebody came up to me and was like, "Hey, I'm your friend. Let me give you a massage," I'd be like, "Okay," and then I don't know, I might tip them depending how well it is or anything like that. But if I'm going to a place and paying money for it, if they do a good job, probably a couple of bucks.
Okay.
I can't see myself spending any more than five,
Okay.
any more than giving them any more than five. At that rate,
I mean,
ones
I'd
are
agree
fine.
with that.
At that rate, ones are fine. Like I have
Oh
no.
yeah, yeah. If you're just doing like the $5, but I mean like the entirety of like the bill, just
I don't see.
like is that not recommended? How do you get rid of your ones, Drew? Do you just not have ones ever?
I'm not gonna lie. I live a cashless existence. Basically, like I carry very little cash on me.
Because for me to get rid of my ones, I'm going to have to go inside the bank.
Mhm.
I'm going to have to then I'm going to have to then hand over my PIN number. Not my PIN number, my card. They're gonna have to count through all the cash.
Hand over
They're
your
then gonna
PIN
have to-
number.
then gonna have to recount it. I'm gonna have to put in my password. I'm gonna have to then put it. They're then gonna hand me a $50 bill, and then I'm gonna have to go back outside, and then I'm gonna have to deposit it inside at my ATM.
Hmm.
And that's just a lot of work, and I just don't. Well, it's not a lot of work. It's more like me being a really lazy asshole. But
So here's a little tip for you that I learned working in retail.
okay,
Cash registers at retail run out of ones pretty frequently over the day.
so I should just show up to Walmart and be like, "Who want the ones?"
Well, if you're buying something and then you tell them like, "I have a bunch of ones, would you mind giving me like a 5 or a 10 for it?" I don't think it's a big deal to do that, depending how busy it
Yeah,
is.
but
Of course.
like if I got like 50 ones, like what do I do?
They might have a question for you then, but I think it's still not impossible to ask them. Just don't ask for a $50 bill, because then they'd be like, I don't know about that.
I would. Oh, I'd be scared to get a $50 bill. They may get me something counterfeit.
Yeah.
At that point, anything above a 20 makes me scared.
But that's what I'm saying is that you try it there. I think you could cash it in for a couple of tens, because also I mean it's just good to have ones in general. Like don't cash all your ones in for just like A20 or A50 or something like that. I think it's a decent idea to just keep ones around. But if you wanted to get small, like bigger bills for it, you could do it at like a retail or like a Wawa or something. They'll probably be grateful.
Okay.
You sound so disappointed with that answer.
I mean, I'm not really sure what I expected, to be honest. I'm not sure what I was expecting you to say. But it was a very sensible answer, and I thank you for your genuine and honest answer for me.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me give you a more outlandish answer. So when you're at the strip club, I think some poor soul might actually accidentally put like a 5 or a 20
Okay,
in the
okay.
girl's
I
G-string.
wasn't
But
even meaning that.
but
I meant like
but
I was expecting like let's put what you should just like take a bunch of dollars and put it make them into like some sort of shape or something and sell them as origami and get $2 for it. Something else, Drew. Come on,
okay, all right. Here, I'll give you
come
something.
on, Drew.
All right, I'll give you something else. So here's what you do: you take all those ones, you put them in a piggy bank, and then one day you take that piggy bank to the bank, and you say, Mister Teller, Mister Teller, can I make a deposit? And then they're like, sure, Timmy. My name's not Timmy. Okay, whatever your name is, you can make a deposit. And then you open up a nice savings account with a high interest rate and save that money for quite a long time and retire happily.
I don't think this is possible, mostly because you said a bank and not and that seems very unlikely, and I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Walk up to like a TD bank with a piggy bank filled with $6 and some change, and they're like, "Yes, you can open up a bank account with us. We're gonna charge you because that's below the minimum, but whatever."
That sounds like TD Bank.
Yep. So
That's what happened with my childhood savings account, actually.
wait, seriously?
Yeah.
They build you into non-existence.
Yep.
Good.
That's why I don't use TD Bank anymore, because they took my $20 I had in my savings account.
I get the feeling your mattress is your new bank account.
Well, actually, no. The bank I use now is actually kind of neat and nice. So, I mean, minus the whole having like I can't do deposits inside, so that's kind of annoying. But I can do everything else in there.
Oh, what's its name, bank account number, and PIN number?
It's the let's see, Federacy of Sweden. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's all you're getting.
Oh. Solid work. Solid joke. Here's a little round of applause. Round of applause.
No, that was shit. I know what I am. I know what I did, and I'm ashamed of myself. I'm sorry. Sorry, Dad.
So your dad's the banker. I get it now. You give him money, and you're like, Dad, hold on to this. He's like, okay, you're not getting any interest from this. You're like, okay.
I am not a teenager. But okay.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So, long story short, tip
your waitresses and
tip your massages
are nice.
They are. I've never had a fish like a professional one, but I've had them. They're nice.
Actually, I've been having professional ones now lately. That's kind of why this whole thing came up, because I got a friend who's actually getting their certifications and stuff like that. So now I get really cheap massages.
Nice.
It's in the good, because I fucked up my back. Well, not back, but upper shoulders.
Carrying your team.
Well, carrying trays, but hey, that's the team is on there. All those plates. Feel the burn.
I just imagine you walk around a restaurant with like the trays on your back, like Igor. You're just like, yes, here's your coffee. You just kind of kneel on the ground a little bit.
Soup and salad, mister.
Now I expect this from you. Now I 100% expect this from you.
All right. Anyway, so how do you feel about this idea? Since we've been talking about dollars, about the dollar vote.
Well, I think voting should be free. A dollar vote is not expensive. I think a lot of people could do that, but I think it's going to cut out a lot of people from voting.
Okay, hold up. I think you're trying to get me to do something here. Wait.
I think you're trying to get me to do something here. Laugh.
All right.
Laugh is the answer there.
So dollar vote, right, is this idea, right, that whatever you put your money into is essentially voting for it to stay alive. Right? How do you feel about this concept, Drew?
So you mean
Also, did I explain it badly?
no, no, no? You explained it fine. You explained it fine. I was making a funny before. Um, so the idea of supporting things with your money is just kind of how the world works, more or less. A lot of it really is just comes down to a lot of how businesses and a lot of how causes and everything start is basically how money is pushed towards them.
Okay.
So, for example, Apple releases a new iPhone basically once a year, almost two times a year actually these days. Um, Pretty much because whenever they come out, people buy them in droves.
Okay.
So it makes sense for them to release two times a year, where most companies don't release them two times a year.
I gotcha. So essentially, since people keep buying them, it makes them want to keep doing what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, it's a good indicator of what's popular. For instance, I went to go see John Wick Chapter Two recently.
Okay.
I didn't think John Wick would ever get a sequel because that movie didn't exactly do great, even though the movie was fantastic. As far as I know, in theaters, it didn't do super well. But
Okay.
but I was wrong that apparently the movie did do well enough to spawn a sequel of it. And I believe that supporting things with your dollar is important, but it's a difficult cause to do.
Okay.
It's certainly not as easy as what I was talking about earlier, just voting in general. It's more just using your own
It's
money.
basically saying that whatever you're interested in, right,
Hmm.
has enough interest in your life that you're willing to put money behind it, right?
Yeah.
Just putting money into something, either it being something you buy just on a regular basis, Starbucks or whatever. There's a reason why there's a million of them everywhere, right? People buy it.
Hmm.
Is saying that that is worth having around, right?
Yeah.
That's why they're still able to be around. So it's basically saying everything you buy is you saying that it is worth being around, kind of deal, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Like whatever you end up putting money into, being whatever it is, it could be the stupidest thing. It could be dollar toothbrushes at the dollar store, right? It could be some joke product that you buy off Amazon or whatever, right? You putting that money there says that there's a want with that product, right? Well, somebody wants it somewhere, and you've shoved money into it, saying that it is worth being around.
Yeah. Exactly. So let's give some examples of things that we like to support with our money.
Okay.
So for me, I mean, this is a topic that comes up quite often on the podcast, but more or less Overwatch,
Okay.
the video game. I'm super interested in that game, and I want to see it continue and grow and do well. So I have bought the game is works on a buy once model where basically you buy the game and then you don't really you're not forced to buy any DLC or expansions after the fact.
Okay.
But the game has cosmetics in it. And the way I see it, I want these cosmetics on a base level anyway. But
Mm-hmm.
on top of that, I think it's a good way to support the developers to show that there's still an interest in this game because I fork over a couple of bucks here and there to get these boxes, more or less. Mind you, I'm not the sole person funding this project. I'm not the only one showing that I'm interested, but I'm
But
doing
it's everybody's collective interest that says, "Hey, this is still worth keeping up."
exactly. And if they
Mhm.
weren't earning that money, I don't think the game would be as
That's kind of like
supported.
how I feel with like a lot of Paradox games, because as you know, I'm pretty big into strategy games, and
What? What are you talking about?
yeah, I'm pretty into strategy games that I always like supporting them just because it's the thing that in my free time I just love to have fun with. They have great development practices. They keep their community very informed. So when they're going to be charging for something, right? I usually don't have an issue paying for it because I know that they treat their community right. They develop their games very correctly, and their overall it's just a great product that they deliver.
Hmm.
But also, I think it's fair to mention that if you also if you buy from a company that has less, what is it? What's a good word for it? Consumer-friendly practices, right?
Yeah,
You're basically saying, hey, what you're doing is okay, right?
Yeah.
I think that's some of the reasons why people stop buying Chick-fil-A kind of deal. You know how like there's a big scandal a while ago?
I don't know if people ever stopped buying Chick-fil-A. I think that was
Yeah.
a very quick thing.
Well, some people, or like Hobby Lobby and stuff like that.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
Or like the guy that wrote the Ender Game books. Like after found out what type of person he was. I know I stopped buying his books. Made me sad. I liked his books.
Yeah, it's certainly a good way of choosing what you support, what you don't, is what you buy.
You know what? Actually, this is actually a good case point. So Orson Scott Card, right? He's the guy that did write the Ender's Game. Like he also wrote another series, not as popular. It's called Memory of Earth, right? It's a great fantasy series, right? Absolutely wonderful, right? I was so excited to get like the next edition of his book, right? Until I found out that he sends a lot of his money from the books to basically combat LGBT communities.
Yeah, he funds an anti group
Yeah.
against them.
Yeah, so that you know, it's like, wow, I really like his books, but I also don't want to support him sending those guys money, right? It's like I enjoy this product, but I cannot bring myself to support his cause. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like that's kind of the idea behind this whole dollar vote thing. Me just paying for it is saying that what you do is okay.
yeah. Well, how about this? I'll play devil's advocate for a little bit here.
Okay.
So, where's the point where you can say we don't support this product anymore? Let me take a few examples. For instance, there was a game that came out quite a while ago now. It was something like 6, 7 years ago, something like that. It was on the
Okay.
Xbox 360. It was called Shadow Complex,
Okay.
and it was made by a development team. It was like a 2D kind of action game. It was kind of stealth based a little bit. It was made by a team of, I think it was like 10 to 20 people, something like that. Relatively small game. Um, and it came out that one of the heads of the company supported one of these kind of groups that was anti-LGBTQ kind of thing, where it's basically he didn't agree with it or didn't support it at all, so he is acting against it. So a lot of people rose up against this and said we're not going to buy the game because of this.
Okay.
How do you feel about that?
Depends. Like I'm okay with somebody having their own views kind of deal, right? Like he can feel whatever he wants, but like if he's actually sending money was he actually sending money towards organizations like that or
I believe so. It's been a while, but I believe so.
Yeah, I think that's the line is like I'm okay with somebody thinking whatever they believe kind of deal, but like the second they actually start putting it the second they put money from the project that I'm interested in, right, towards that, then yeah, then I wouldn't be for him kind of deal, right?
So how about those other 10-ish odd people who are on the team? Possibly they don't support that. And you not buying the product hurts their income as well.
Well, here's the thing, right? Right. It would be like if he's putting the profits of the company, right? That's what I'm saying, versus his personal assets, kind of deal. You see what I'm saying?
So if you were if it was something like all proceeds of this game go to this.
Well,
go to
yeah,
this
yeah.
company. So what if it was just the guy at the top of the company was saying, I'm taking my paycheck and funding this group with it, while everyone else in the company has no affiliation with it whatsoever.
Um, it would definitely make me second guess myself. I would say that, right? I'd have to take like a good look. Like, well, can you see this messaging within the game itself, kind of deal, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, whatever. I'd have to look up a few reviews beforehand, right? if it doesn't really come through in the game, that I wouldn't really see an issue with it, right?
Hmm.
But if it was just him putting actual, like, diverting company funds to that kind of thing, then no, I couldn't support it. But if it was him personally putting into it, I would definitely second guess, like, buying anything he makes. That's for sure, or he's the head leader of.
Okay. Well, I mean, funny enough, like the more I looked into that Chick-fil-A story, it was similar to that, where
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't that Chick-fil-A supported anti-gay groups or anything like that. It was
Mm-hmm.
more that just the founder did, or
Yeah,
or the
yeah.
heads
I
of
mean,
the or
that's
the
why
heads
I
of the
still
company
buy from
kind of.
Chick-fil-A. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I'm thinking of is the hard thing about voting with your dollar is that when it's a company or some kind of business, more likely than not, it's not just one person that is running
Mm-hmm.
this company and funding this group entirely. It's a complex set of people.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just the one guy, it's a company of 50 people, and 40 of those people are A-okay with gay people. But that one guy at the top is just not with it, just
But
against
yeah,
it.
there's a difference between just having the guy at the top and having, like, the entire organization, like, anti kind of deal, right? Like, because there are companies like that, right? There are definitely companies that are, like, anti, like, women's rights and, like, that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah.
And I'm not so for that kind of deal,
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely. And that's where the importance of voting with your dollar is. But I usually see this actually comes back to an older topic we talked about, I think on the first or second episode or something like that, with a
Mm-hmm.
Dog's Purpose movie,
Yeah.
where people boycotted that movie because it seemed like the dog was being mistreated on the on the set. But obviously that had never happened. So people voted with their dollar to not go to it over a story that didn't exactly happen. I guess what I'm getting at is like when these stories usually come about or when we find out something about a company, it's good to do your own research before deciding to completely abandon and ostracize something.
Is that really using a dollar vote though, or is that just boycotting?
That's still using your dollar because you're a place you
Well,
would go, you're choosing not to because.
I'm not necessarily sure though, because I feel like that's just saying you're not going to just buy from somebody, right? That's actually not putting your dollar anywhere. That's just keeping it onto yourself, right? And, like, I would say, like, putting your using the dollar vote thing would be like putting a dollar into, like, an anti organization against that, you know, theater, or like you see, like, PETA donations suddenly, you know, went up a bunch, right? Because of, what happened with this movie kind of deal. Like, that would be showing people, like, hey, people don't like this and they're kind of reacting, instead of saying, well, I'm not going to buy that. Well, I don't. Well, what does that mean, right? You're just saying that you didn't buy it. I wouldn't say is actually using the whole dollar vote thing.
I would argue the opposite. I would say that you're using your dollar vote to spend or not to spend that money
Okay.
where you want. Now, I get what you're saying. We're basically not spending the dollar is really hard to figure out. Like
Mm-hmm.
the people of a Dog's Purpose can't say, well, let's figure out how many dollars weren't spent because of that. I'm sure
Yeah, that's like.
that might be a thing they can figure out, but
Mm-hmm.
God knows it's going to take a really long time and a lot of effort to find. Um,
But my
so
point is, like, it would definitely be a lot more productive to, like, or it would show a lot more, right, to actually, fund, like some sort of, like, lobbying group, or, like, throw it in the PETA, or, like, getting numbers that way, like that means a lot more than somebody just saying, "Oh, well, I'm not going to it now." You you see what I'm saying?
I do, but at the same time, I think not voting, not using your dollar at it is still counted as a vote for it. Like, for instance, that Chick-fil-A thing. People stopped going to
Mm-hmm.
Chick-fil-A, but I don't know a lot of people who donated directly to a pro LGBTQ charity because of it. They just said, "Oh well, Chick-fil-A's doing this thing, so I don't support them, so I'm not going there anymore." And they went to Wendy's or Arby's or wherever they went after that.
Mm-hmm.
And that was still a vote. That was still them saying that I don't want to support this.
Hmm.
But I definitely see what you're saying, where we're arguing semantics more or less. We really are just arguing semantics over is not spending your dollar a vote, and it's like yes and no in certain circumstances, in certain ways.
I actually don't think this is semantics. I think this is actually a pretty key point, to be honest.
What do you mean? Like
Like, I feel like I feel like what you're saying is, well, what you're saying is basically just boycotting something, right? And I feel like that's fundamentally different than putting like the whole dollar vote thing into actual action, right? See, what you're saying is something that you personally decide is like what you're not going to do. You're either going to put it on Twitter or Facebook or something like that, right? Saying, "No, well, I'm not going to go here because of thus," right? That's something completely different than, putting your dollar into something saying, "Hey, I'm going to buy this," right? Okay? Just putting the dollar amount into something is using your dollar vote. Not using that is essentially not voting.
mm, again, I'm seeing what you're saying, but at the same time, it feels like they are opposites, but in the same way that like being pro and against something is the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
It's I guess you are slightly right where it's not choosing to quote unquote boycott something. Boycott's a strong word. That's why I quote unquote it, but basically using not spending your dollar somewhere I still consider as a vote, even though it's technically a non-vote, because that company can. The reason why I'm seeing this is because a company bases all of their decisions off of how popular or how well this product is doing.
Okay.
So people not buying it in some kind of protest or some kind of just not supporting it is a vote because the company itself sees, well, it's just not popular, so I guess we just won't do it.
Okay. I see what you're saying. I mean, definitely not
Yeah,
voting for some. I mean, definitely. I'm sorry. Not buying something is definitely indicative, right?
yeah.
And it's definitely saying something, right? But I'm just saying.
Just to expand my point a little bit further, like it's different than let's say an election non-vote. An election
Okay.
non-vote is literally nothing. It is literally zero. It's is you saying I support no. Well, not saying it's not saying I don't support anyone. It's saying I'm completely apathetic to the topic. While not voting business wise, not voting with your dollar is showing the company that you just have no interest in it, in a financial way.
All right, I can kind of see what you're saying.
Hmm.
I mean, the point. I mean, the general point still remains, right? Is what you do with your money matters,
Yes.
right? Where what you spend your money on says basically what you support. Like, I avidly support cherry slices, though the world does not agree with me.
I can get on board with that. I can get on board with that entirely. Can
I mean, just because like you do support something with your money doesn't mean that everybody else is. But but enough people getting together is basically showing support for something if a lot of people buy it. That's the point. It's just saying that what you spend your money on sort of matters, right? Is that fair?
yeah, absolutely.
That's a good summation of what we talked about.
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, where you do spend your money is important because you're showing that you are interested enough in this product to spend your hard-earned money on it. For me, that's Starbucks. I really like Starbucks as a drink, as a company, as a bunch of different things. So I choose to spend my money there regularly.
Okay.
I choose to spend my money a lot of ways, but that's a decent summation of how I use my dollar vote. Is I like it, so I'm going to support it. On top of
Okay.
get delicious drinks out of it. That's the important part too.
Getting your coffee.
Getting my not coffee, delicious dessert drinks. Basically milkshakes.
You know what I learned today?
What's that?
Starbucks has milkshakes.
All right, here's a lesson. All right, you're about to learn today.
Hold up. Stop right there. Before you even start, you're thinking I care.
Hey, listen. I understand you might not care, but I'm still going to explain it.
All right, I'll
So-
sit back.
so-
Tell me a story, Drew.
I will. In a far off land, there's a place called Starbucks. I didn't know why I went
that we are
snake
not
there.
sponsored by.
No. I don't know why I went full snake there, but that's beside the point.
Hey,
So-
you're just a Sneeple. It's all right.
Anyway, so at Starbucks they offer a lot of different coffees and drinks. One of which is called a Frappuccino. Have you ever heard of that?
That sounds like gross coffee thing.
Okay. A Frappuccino is basically a milkshake. It
Uh-huh.
is a milkshake made with any number of ingredients. Like they offer chocolate,
Okay.
mocha, which is like a mix of coffee and chocolate.
So when you say chocolate, is it just like that brick they snap off and throw in the cup? Because that's what I got for hot chocolate one time. I was not happy.
Okay, here's another point. I'm just going to learn you about this. This is the new topic. Learning you about Starbucks. Hold on. Let me just write it down for you. Learning with an apostrophe. Apostrophe about Starbucks. All right, there we go.
For those that don't know, we actually have a Google Doc that we keep up while we're doing the podcast, and he just very angrily typed that in.
In all caps too. Hold on. I will make it even more so you can learn today. Caps, underline, italics.
I
I thought that would actually
is
resize it.
that is emotion.
Is there a button to reset? Anyway, I'm getting off topic.
Okay.
So
No, this is the new topic.
when you bought your hot chocolate, where did you buy the hot chocolate? Was it at a Starbucks or was it at a Starbucks that is linked to another thing, like a Target or something?
It was at a Barnes and Noble.
That was your mistake. That was your
Okay.
entire mistake. Never buy
'Cause
that.
I was very disappointed with my hot chocolate. I sat down, right? I was like, okay, who messes up hot chocolate, right? Right? I sat down and I sipped it, and it tasted like milk. So I already knew things were wrong. I opened it. I opened it up, and I just found the giant brick of chocolate in there, and I realized they literally just snapped a bar of chocolate and threw it in.
Oh,
I was. My then girlfriend at the time, I looked at her and I was like, "Is this what they do for hot chocolate?" And she gave me a deadpan look of like, "Yeah, why? You don't like it?" And I was like, "Oh." So that convinced me that this was just the status quo. All right.
no. That is not the status quo at all.
Okay.
So I will not lie. Their hot chocolate does not taste like other people's hot chocolate. I'm very partial to Wawa hot chocolate. Wawa hot chocolate's delicious.
It's literally my favorite.
Yes, but Starbucks hot chocolate. Okay, there's a difference between places that have a Starbucks in them and actual Starbuckses. Places that have Starbucks
Alright.
in them basically are to get the mixes sent to them, and then they just make it on the premises with
But you don't understand. There was no mix. It was just a bar.
exactly.
They threw it in.
Exactly. At a Starbucks, they have all the ingredients to mix there, and usually it isn't in some kind of crap way, more or less. The best way I have to explain it is
hold up. We need to stop right now because I feel like we have a topic for next week.
what you're gonna go. Okay.
All right, guys, you heard it here first. Drew is going to be taking me to Starbucks this week,
Yo, I'll go to Starbucks. I don't mind.
and we shall give an after action report for next episode.
I'm gonna put two hot chocolates in front of you, a Wawa one and a Starbucks one, and
It's not going to end up like the contraption maker
Oh,
that we completely forgot to play.
what game? What game?
What game?
What
right?
game?
What game?
Question mark. No, I'm completely fine with that. But I would say if you wanted to try one, I don't know if you'll like it. I will say it's a little
I'm
different.
not promising to like it either.
But I would say hot chocolate from a Starbucks, from an actual Starbucks, is better than the one you got. I can say with 100% certainty is better than that.
Alrighty. Well, we're just going to have to test this and just see how it goes.
Definitely. That means I'm going to have to see you at some point. Crap, I'm going to have to leave my house. But it's warm
I
in
forgot
here.
about that point too.
It's warm in here.
Now eh.
What was that noise?
I was thinking about going outside.
It's like a gremlin. It's like a gremlin. You were like, it's like, It's like,
Don't worry, I can give you the best of voices.
Let's never do that again. Actually.
never. No. Hold on. I'm gonna write that. I'm gonna write that down in the doc.
Yep.
Hold on.
That's more angry writing.
Ugh. Never do that voice again. Perfect. There we go.
Yep, that's a permanent note.
And I'm actually gonna make it a permanent note by doing that.
Can you? Oh,
And I'm
I
gonna
thought
make
you were
it
gonna
in
do some
24
admin
point
stuff.
font.
Oh, yeah, that's noticeable.
There
That's
we go.
there.
And I don't know. I'll look into actually making this a permanent thing. I don't know.
Okay, admin.
I don't know if I can actually do that. I don't think I can. But anyway.
Yes.
Anyway.
Okay. So, well, I believe we wanted to talk about one more thing, right?
Mhm.
You wanted me to try and convince you of our Lord and Savior Stellaris, right?
Yes. Yes, I want to be sold on Stellaris. To give everyone a little bit of background, Anthony very much likes Stellaris. He's a fan. He is quite a fan.
I'm like one of those big industrial fans.
That sure. In the video for this podcast, where I want you to throw just a big fan at that point, just a big as big as you can on the screen. I don't know if you will or not, but that's my request.
Again, sounds like effort. I'm sort of into that. I'm sort of not. We'll see where we go.
How about every single time I say fan, a fan shows up on the screen?
Hold up there, guy. Maybe for the segment, but not every time. That's too much for me. That's too much effort. How dare you?
All right, so
I edit in Paint, damn it.
all right, so Anthony, the fanatical fan, in the fandom of Stellaris,
Yes.
brings all the fans to the yard. No, I'm not going to keep going with this. He's a very large fan of this game.
Yes, that's the simple
And-
version. Like I'm the cheesehead for the Packers, right? Right?
Sports.
Right? Green Bay.
Sports.
Yes.
Sports.
Cheese.
Sports.
But yeah, I'm super into this game. That was the point of all that.
Yes. Sports.
So
But more or less, I've been interested in playing the game for a little while now. I've had an interest ever since you initially told me about it.
Mhm.
And I believe it was you. You're the one who gifted it to me?
yes,
Yes,
I did
yes.
because I vehemently want you to play it.
Yes, and I did want to play it. I do. I actually...
And you have yet to play it, and now you must be persecuted for your sins.
Way to spoil the story. I was going to go into a deep, heartfelt story about me being an orphan, just sitting in a store window seeing Stellaris back in 1999. But
Well,
you know what?
Tell you what. I'm gonna let you go downstairs and hug your mom and come back up and talk.
That is very true. Long story short, I've got a list of games next to my computer, like a literal notepad with games written down on it. And Stellaris.
Wait, well, hold up. I thought it was a Post-it note.
I mean, it's basically like a notepad / Post-it note. It's a Post-it note without the sticky part of it.
Oh, so you mean like you just stapled it to your computer? Like
No,
that doesn't
God.
sound good for the monitor.
God, no, my computer case is beautiful. That'd be awful. No, I have a list of games next to my computer that I every day, whenever I sit down at my computer to play something, I look at and make the conscious choice not to play any of them and play the games I always play. Stellaris is at the top of that list. So I want you to try and sell me on why, after we're done recording this,
Okay.
I should jump directly into Stellaris. Mind
because
you,
I'll play a multiplayer game with you.
I don't know.
I mean, that's That could be something right there. I can force you to play. Look at this. This is great.
I can.
Or I could
I
even
can
be worse,
force
and
you
you
to
could
play.
and like if you do a game by yourself, right? I could just like come and watch your game, right? Like over Steam, because that's a thing you can do now.
Oh, that's
and I
really
can just tell you
creepy.
when you're doing wrong.
Oh, that's super creepy. This got in the wrong direction, and you're supposed to be selling me. This is not working out well.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you not know about that part though?
No, I knew about the watching part. Like I knew you can invite
Okay.
people to watch your, like you kind of stream the game. But
You probably didn't put in the right settings, so I could probably just drop in.
great, lovely. Just playing single player, and all of a sudden Ant joins and starts building his empire. I'm like, no, I'm still learning. Mama, no.
Mama, no.
So,
But,
sell me on it. Like, tell me why
Okay,
is Stellaris
so-
interesting?
Do you like westerns?
Sports.
So you don't like westerns?
No, I like westerns. They're good.
Oh, okay. See, so you can take the feeling of westerns, like, right, and manifest your destiny across space. Okay.
Wait. It's like you made a Venn diagram, but none of the circles touch. You told me, do I like westerns? And then the second circle was manifest your destiny in space. And there's literally no touching of these circles whatsoever. They are so far apart. They're like two ships in the night sailing past each other. And they will never touch.
Okay,
Unless
hold
you
up
tell
here.
me a
Hold
better
up here.
way.
All right. Okay. Let me try this again.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So, do you like World War II?
Sports. I don't enjoy World War II, but I find it interesting.
Okay. So then, would you like to be a liberating force
Okay, all right. I
and
see.
and stomp on Space Hitler's face?
I'm on board. I'm on board. I see the chain as opposed to westerns. I see the
Okay.
chain.
Well, you can do that in Stellaris. You can be your empire. You can be Space America, and you can kill things because they're evil and murdering people.
So here's my next question.
Okay.
I already understand how to play Civilization 5. And
Okay.
I can do that in that game minus the space part. So
yes,
what
but in
can I-
this game, there's actual genocide. So you will actually be stopping people from committing genocide. See, it puts up the stakes a little bit more. Oh, and especially in this new expansion they got coming out, you can just eat people. I mean, like you will be fighting the vilest of the vile, or playing as them. I mean, you could play as them too. I mean, if you're like that, are you a space Nazi, Drew?
I don't. You're gonna have to help me out here. So, is the whole
Okay.
point of the race that they eat people?
So it's actually a thing that you can do, right? Is you can like play as like some really evil stuff, right? And you could like have purge options, like think Stalin, except he ate Siberia instead of just sent them there.
What is this horrible game? What
It
is
is-
this game with like war crimes?
It is a game where you can manifest your destiny and save the universe from something that's truly awful, or be the awful thing, if that's your thing. I mean, I'm not gonna judge.
So there's great evil in the galaxy. All right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
And-
the hurdle I'm seeing is
Okay.
Is-
Tell me what you're stuck on.
how to play it, because I've saved the galaxy before. I've done that in games. That's not a
Okay.
new concept to me. Maybe not
So-
from man-eating space Hitler, but that's new. But playing the game,
Okay.
it seems a little more complicated than just let's go punch space Hitler in the face.
Okay, so you're right. It is a little bit. So first things first, you start off right, and you get to create your own custom people, right? You can create your own like species that you play as. You know, your starter race, right? You
Right.
can give them all different traits and stuff like that. You can do your starter government. You can be like full on like democratic, you know, let's save the universe type of guys, or you could be like, you know, um, let's burn everything down. You can be just not. You could just be a race that's like, hey, you know what? I just kind of want to be by myself, right? You can pick many different paths to play this game. Okay. And all of them are not wrong. I mean, obviously genocide's bad, but and slaves are bad. But I mean,
There's that but.
you
I
can
was
go
waiting
any
for that.
path you choose, and that will be on your soul.
I feel like this is one step away from you saying like, yeah, you know what? It is fine to take slaves. It's fine. I'm waiting for it now.
I mean, I
I'm
didn't
waiting
say
for
it.
it.
I didn't say that. But anyway, it's a game that is a ton of fun because it allows you to do whatever you want to try and do, right? It allows you to just build your own empire with its own type of ethics and stuff like that. It allows you to pursue whatever destiny you want to try and go down. And with this expansion that they have coming out in April, it's basically going to be allowing more choice. It's going to allow you to go down completely different paths. It's going to allow you to be like full robotics. It can. These words probably don't mean a lot to you at this point, since you haven't played. But it basically allows more choices, right? It doesn't overwhelm you with everything, right? Because it starts you off really small. Okay, so that's something you have to know about this game. Is it starts you off small. You're just not thrown into this whole galactic stage, right? Where there's just everything everywhere. You can see Hitler over the horizon looking at you with his mustache, right? No, that's not how it starts off, okay? You start with one planet, one research vessel, and you just discover what's in your system, right? It starts you off really small. And you just keep building little by little by little by little by little by little by little, right? So it's kind of like a Civ game where you just start off with like your home area, and then you just gently start expanding out. I mean, you could expand greatly at some point, right? You can just throw like a bunch of settlers out there, right? But it doesn't overwhelm you completely, right? It's going to seem really strange at first, but you can get the hang of it just by just trying it, right? You see what I'm saying now? Did I do good?
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I don't know if I'm 100% sold on it, but I feel like interest has been built.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna be straight up and honest with you right here. This game is not for everybody.
Really, the way you talk about it, it's like, oh man, you can just grab your destiny by the hand and just follow it wherever you want to go.
But
So why isn't it for everyone?
okay, so there is a point in the game, right, to where it definitely does get like a little hard. Like you do have to manage like the resources you have, right? You do have to manage like a few like diplomatic relations and stuff like that, right? It just not everybody's in the strategy games. Like if you're into strategy games, this is going to be a good game, I would say, to start off with, right? Like it's not as easy as Civ. Probably Civ would be an easier game to start off with, but it doesn't overwhelm you with choices, right? I'm sorry, that's the best I got.
So you would say like it's not a beginner's strategy game, but it's certainly
Yeah, it's not a beginner's.
it's certainly on the easier spectrum of most of them.
Yeah, like it's something that doesn't completely overwhelm you. Like it doesn't give you like a million choices at once. It gives you like two or three to take from, right? And then you can just kind of move forward from there. Because like there's a lot of spaceship game. There's a lot of empire builders out there that just load you with everything at the beginning. It's like, okay, figure it out, right? But the tutorial for the game is very straightforward if you decide to go through it. It's just played through on your whatever first game you start. It'll explain things very easily to you. And you can pretty much figure out everything just by playing around with it, right? You'll get the feeling like, I should probably go for this, or I should probably go for that, right? Just on
as you're
how
building
you
your
want to play the game.
as you're building your empire, you'll feel out generally like what would be best for your empire.
Exactly.
Okay. Well,
And that...
Hmm?
Yes, good sir?
well, finish your thought. Finish your thought.
No, that was my thought. That's all I got.
Okay.
If you're not sold on it by this point, then I don't know how else to sell you. Besides, just forcing you to do it.
I mean, you could try cash bribing first before.
Well, I got
straight up
a
force.
bunch of ones.
we have established this. Well, I can't guarantee by next podcast I'll have tried it, but at some point in the future, we will talk about my experience with Stellaris.
I look forward to this day. And hey, maybe you'll convince me to play Overwatch at some point. Heh, heh. Look at this. We got a possible topic. Wha.
Wah! That's your general feeling. Wah!
Yeah, that's my feeling right now.
All right, I'm on board with this. I feel like Overwatch. I'd love for you to play Overwatch, but I feel like if I was going to get you into a game, Overwatch wouldn't be the first choice.
Ooh, what would be the game then? I would have guessed that would have been the game. Tell me, what is your game?
Actually, I meant to ask you the other day. Have you ever played XCOM?
Okay, so we gotta be straight with each other now.
Yes.
I have played XCOM,
Yes.
but it is a game to which grown men will cry.
That is the appeal sometimes. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So I'd be up to trying again, but I have tried once.
You're saying you're not a fan.
Oh, I'm saying I like it, right? But I'm just not into that whole masochistic relationship, It's like me and Dark Souls, like I understand what it is, and it's a good person, right? But I wouldn't date that.
It's a good person. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna get you into Dark Souls. I'm gonna get
All right,
I'm gonna get me. I'm gonna get Kevin. We're gonna handhold your way through it. You're gonna get through that game.
Gotcha. We'll have Starbucks on the way.
This is like a perfect day to me. This is like a super perfect day right now. I am
All right.
very much on board with it.
Sounds good. We'll do it while you're at work. Make it even better.
What? No, I can't do it at work.
Well, fine. We'll do it sometime during the week then. All right. Well, Drew, this was a time.
This was a time. It is now 10, in fact.
That is a fact, and others call it facts. Others call it alternative facts. Others just say fix your clock.
That is true. That is true.
It is actually 10:03, and I'm very disappointed by your non-preciseness.
How could you? How could you? How could you, clock? You betrayed me.
Well, this was a blank space, and we filled it in with something.
Something.
And that's all we got.
Buongiorno.
Go home. We don't want you here anymore. Go do your life, or whatever you do that doesn't involve massage.
You can go somewhere. You just can't stay here.
Yep. Okay, bye.